Hey, we're live. So, welcome all you YouTube viewers and anybody who's following along with us live on IRC. I'm Brian Davis from the Wikimedia Foundation, and I am going to give a little tech talk today on how we use Kibana4 um, at the foundation to view log data that we collect from various applications. So a little over a year ago, I gave a talk on the ELK stack that we use for debug log aggregation and visualization at the Wikimedia Foundation. Um, ELK is the shorthand term that Elasticsearch BV coined to describe the combination of three of their open source projects, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Cabana. And in the slide here, we've got just a little bit about each of those. So Elasticsearch is a full text search engine on top of Lucene. Makes using Lucene a lot nicer than using Lucene directly from a programmer's point of view. Logstash is a pipeline processing system that basically takes data in one side, lets you run it through several kinds of filters to change it, and then puts it out the other side into some sort of storage or output system. And Cabana is a browser-based analytics and search dashboard built to work on top of Elasticsearch. So in our usage of the ELK stack and the typical usage of the ELK stack, data is ingested by Logstash, processed around, dumped out into Elasticsearch, and then Kibana gives a nice web interface to view that data. So since my talk last year, there've been a few changes. We have quite a few more applications sending their logs into the system, and we've made some changes in how we process things in the middle of Logstash to get a little better normalization between log events that come from separate applications. But the most end user visible change has been that we upgraded from Cabana version 3 to Cabana version 4. So we've got two main ELK stack deployments here at the Wikimedia Foundation. The first is hosted in our Wikimedia Labs project as part of our beta cluster testing environment. And the front end for this is found at logstash-beta.wmflabs.org. And the second deployment is in our production network, and access to the production Cabana front end requires authentication with a username and password and proper group membership in our backing authentication system. And we have to do this because there's some potentially sensitive data, such as IP addresses collected from our users in here. So we can't just let everybody look at the production logs. But the beta log system is open to anyone, so you can go and follow along or play with things there. So I'm just going to do kind of a basic tour of the Kibana4 user interface. And I've got some screenshots basically that I'm going to walk through that I took of our beta cluster instance. So when you first visit Logstash beta, you'll see this a brief loading screen, and then this default dashboard that we've created. And this dashboard shows some information about all of the log events that have been recorded into the system. And at the top, it's also got kind of a handy list of links to other commonly used dashboards. So on the just here on the left-hand side below the logo, that says default, that's the dashboard name. So if you click into one of those other dashboards like Apache or Hadoop, it would say that name there instead of default to help you tell what you're looking at. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little display of the time range that the dashboard is currently showing. And if you click on that, you can change the range. That click will open up this panel of preset time ranges that you can quickly switch between. We actually only keep 32 days of log data in our elk clusters. So some of these built-in presets like the 60-day, 90-day, etc. are not really useful for our logs, but they'll work. You'll just only see things up to our current retention period. And there's some little lozenges, I guess, on the left-hand side here for besides the quick for relative and absolute, where you can put in times in a different way. So the relative range is like last 5 minutes, last hour. There's a box that you can type into there, and then the absolute gives you 2 calendar pickers for a start time and an end time. And when you're done, after you've changed your time or decided that you don't want to see this anymore, you can click that little up arrow there in the gray bar at the bottom of the panel to close it. So back at the primary dashboard interface, there's a big text box here that allows you to enter search terms. These searches are done using Elasticsearch's query string query language. You can look up the full details of that online. When the slides are posted, there'll be a link there too, I think, in the slide. But a few quick tips that are useful here are that if you want to search for a phrase for something that, a couple words that are separated by white space, you can surround your phrase in double quotes to get it to hold together and find all the parts contiguous when it's searching for things. And the other potentially surprising thing here is that the search terms you enter are ORed together by default. So by default, if you type foo space bar, you'll get anything that mentions foo and anything that mentions bar, not just things that mention both. And you can use the keyword and it needs to be in all capital letters like it's shown on the slide there, to do a search for foo and bar that would find any log events that contain both of those words rather than either of those words. Just to the right of the text input box, there's a little magnifying glass icon. This does double duty as both the search and refresh button. And it took me a while to realize this. Actually, the old Kibana4 had a dedicated button for refreshing, for catching up to the time window. But in Kibana4, you just hit the search icon again. Most of our dashboards don't automatically refresh. So after you look at them for 5 or 10 minutes, things will have changed on the back end, and you might want to hit the magnifying glass to see how that's going. The next icon we have is a little document with a plus sign in it. And this gives you a brand new blank dashboard to start working from if you want to build a new dashboard. Most of the time, if I'm making a new dashboard, I actually start from one of the existing ones that's similar to what I want to make it similar to the dashboard I want to make. Instead of starting from a blank slate, mostly just because staring at a blank slate can be a little intimidating. The next icon is the little floppy disk, and this will open the save dialog. If you're trying to make a new dashboard by editing an existing one, you need to make sure you change the dashboard name, or when you save, you'll overwrite the one you started from, which is probably not what you meant to do. And on the back end, on the storage side, dashboards aren't versioned. So if you save over an existing dashboard, the old version is lost. This this can take a little bit of getting used to for some of us that spend a lot of time on the wikis, where it's always easy to reset things to a known good revision. So when it pops up the dialog that says, "Are you sure you want to save over something?" Think for a second before you do. Next icon we have going across from left to right is a file folder icon, and this is where you go to load a saved dashboard. And it'll open up a panel that lets you search through the list of saved dashboards and pick one to replace your current view. Pretty simple stuff. The next one is the share icon. So its icon's a weird little arrow pointing out of a box. I guess that's what the kids these days think means share. And this will let you get a shareable URL for the current view of a dashboard that you have. So if you've added things in the search bar, or maybe clicked some filters or changed the time window, some things that we'll look at in a little more depth a little bit later, whatever you have showing on your screen, you can hit this share and get a link so that you can get other people to be looking at the same dashboard you have, without having to save it like permanently as a named thing. So if we click on it, then we get this dialog box, or the panel opens up, and one of the things you notice here at first, if you look at that share link line, is it's got a really long pile of a whole bunch of stuff. Actually the whole dashboard and all the search terms and everything is encoded in that URL. So typically these are way too large for copy and pasting into IRC and other places like that where you want a short link. But we can get a short URL here by going down and clicking those two arrows that point together. That's the generate a short link icon, and when we click it, then the share link will change down to something much smaller that says like go to / and has some sort of like MD5 kind of looking hash. Now you've got a nice link that's easy to share on IRC. That's a handy tip. Back at the dashboard screen, we've got a circled plus sign icon, and this opens a panel to find a visualization. Visualization's what Kibana calls the different widgets that are shown on the dashboard, and add it to your current dashboard. So this is a little bit different than the way that things worked in Kibana4, where you defined new widgets from the dashboard itself. In Kibana4, that the visualizations have to be made already using the visualize section of the navigation, and then you plop them into your dashboard. Once you get used to it, though, this is actually a little nicer than the Kibana3 system. So with the Kibana4 system, a single visualization that's made and stored is actually shared across all the dashboards it's used in. So you can go back to the visualization itself and tweak some settings on it, make it show more rows or fewer rows, or change the colors or whatever. And then that will actually update across all of the dashboards, which is kind of nice. And to the far right, we end up with the last little easy navigation icon here, which is the gear, and that opens the options dialog. In the version of Cabana that we're using, the only option that there is to change the dashboard's color scheme from light to dark. So you probably won't need that too often, but that's where you find it. A lot of the dashboards that we have created have a histogram visualization near the top. So this is like a line or a bar graph that shows how many log events are seen in each time bucket across the period that's currently being viewed. And one of the nice user interface features here that not everybody catches on to right off the bat is that you can click and drag on this to zoom into a time window. So instead of squinting your eyes down and saying like, oh, I think that interesting peak starts about 1755, you can just click your mouse and drag out a highlight box around it. And when you let go, it will change the time window and zoom you into that section of the graph. So in addition to the dashboards, there's a discover section up in the upper navigation. So if we previously here we were on the dashboard tab in the upper middle, and now we're on the discover tab in the upper left. And discover is kind of just a generic search screen, and it always shows this histogram at the top and then a table of result output below it, and you can play with the query bar using the same query language that the dashboard screen does. And this is useful to save something that they call a search. So when you save a discover screen, it's called a search, and then this can easily become the basis of a new dashboard. So let's this one I had a hard time figuring out how to do slides for, so I'm going to try the infamous live demo. we'll see what happens here. I'm going to change the window that I'm pointing to. This one. All right. So now we're on a, here's the discover screen live, and this is looking at our beta cluster Logstash version. So you can see the timeline here, the click and drag to highlight. We can zoom in on what was happening a couple minutes ago. And hey, there we go. See more detailed resolution about what events were going on. We can go down here to change the table that's here showing things, right? And by default, it'll show you the time and underscore source, which is just like a blob of the full result of any log event. We can make that a little prettier by using the navigation on the left-hand side to say that what we'd really like to see besides the time is the type field and the message, which is kind of like the most basic information. And then we can go through here and we can see like, okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff about syslog events. Like, I don't think I'm really interested in looking at syslog events right now, so I can drill into a particular log event and see all the various fields that we've got parsed out in it. And one of the fields that I can find down here is the type, and I can then choose to filter so that I only show things of this type, or that I filter out this type. So let's filter out the syslog type and see what happens to our graph. So we got a lot fewer events showing up now, and we've got MediaWiki as the primary type. So that's kind of how we can drill down into some things. Oh yeah, so the filters actually show up here as little lozenges, red for filtering things out. And if we filtered one in, like if we decide that we want to only see MediaWiki events, green for filters, include filters, and then you can remove filters. If we're filtering for only MediaWiki, then only MetaWiki. Oh, I'm only looking at things from Wiki MetaWiki anyway. So that's kind of some of the fun things that you can do there. Depends on what you're going after, how much you're going to want to tweak the table layout. besides being able to see all the columns on an individual event here, you can also, if you need it for something, get to the raw JSON backing data that's stored in Elasticsearch for each event. And I didn't go too horrible for a live demo. Let's go back to the slide deck, which is here.
Ryan, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Can those filters be typed into the search box?
Yeah, so you can totally, let's go back. Let's go back and show that. That one. So if we're on, let's get back to a kind of clean slate here. So if you know the name of, this is part of the query language. If you know the name of a field, like type, you can put it in with a colon, and then after it, put what you want the value to be. So you can put type MediaWiki in there and hit the search button, and boom, there we go. So now we're filtered down to just MediaWiki. So this is the same on the back end. This does the same functionality as if we drilled into a log event and clicked the little plus magnifying glass next to an event that had type MediaWiki. I'm trying to remember. I'm almost sure that there's a way, but I don't remember how to do it, how to put one in that actually shows up as a filter itself. But what you can do, if you get some filter up there, like we'll filter by this channel message cache, you can actually go in, and one of the icons when we hover over a particular filter is an edit thing, and we can actually change it there. So this is getting pretty esoteric into how Elasticsearch queries work, but you could actually change this one to be from pinning us to things that say message cache to things that say, I'm not going to guess, another channel. Let's see if I guess off manager, if there's anything happens. Oh, here we get to find the cool thing that happens when you make your filters too narrow. Then it comes and says, like, I can't really find anything. Maybe you should figure out how to refine it.
Ryan, the second part of that question from IRC is also how to filter things out.
Yeah, so you can either do it with the clicky things, or if you're doing it in the query language itself, you can do and not something. Let me find something that we can not out. Okay, and not channel message cache. So yeah, not something. I think you can also do. Like pluses and minuses in the query language. Let's see if this comes back with about the same results. Yeah, so you can do a plus type MediaWiki and minus channel message cache sort of thing. And if you browse around and look at the dashboards, you'll find some dashboards, I think especially the exception log dashboard. A couple of those will have those negative filters that get rid of noisy messages that we don't typically care about looking at when we're drilling down into stuff. Hopefully that answered Andrew's question. All right, let's see. Where were we at back in slide deck land? I think you guys are almost done with me here. Gonna change back to the slides. There was our live demo slide. What do we got next? Oh, okay. So this is kind of a cool thing. That's new since we talked about this whole logging stack last year. So we have this HTTP request header called the X Wikimedia debug header that you can send in with an inbound request to the production MediaWiki servers. That lets you do a few things on the slide here. You can tell the request to be directed to a specific backend server. There's just a small list of them, but you can pick. I think there's like 4 or 6 right now, but you can pick which of those servers that your request goes to, which can be very interesting and useful for like a live debugging session where you've got a non-publicly released patch or some extra logging lines put on one of our particular testing servers. When this header's at present, varnish, our front-end varnish caches will also never cache the output and never give you a cached response. So you always get to talk to the backend server, even if you're browsing as an anonymous user, which again is useful for live debugging. And then you can enable some kind of feature flags. You can enable verbose logging, which will log to both our elk stack and to our flat files on Fluorine. All of the log messages, like the full debug level fire hose level of log messages that happened during the request that carried the header. You can also ask for profiling data to be made and then put up in a dashboard that we have, in a different tool that we have for looking at profile traces. And the third kind of cool feature flag that you can turn on is that you can tell the wiki to act as though it's in read-only mode to simulate a locked database, which can be useful for tracking down certain kinds of bugs. So there's a page on Wikitech about this that you can go read more about, like the completely gory details of it. So how do you use it? You use it as an HTTP header, which you can do with curl. You can say curl-h, which stands for header X Wikimedia debug. Backend equals one of the available pooled backend servers. And I think the behavior is if you write something in there that's not on the whitelist, you get pinned to one of the particular servers as the default. And then those feature flags go in as semicolon separated things. So there's log and trace and read only. And again, on that Wikitech page, it'll give you the full syntax details of those. But we've also made browser extensions for both Firefox and Chrome that make using this easy for just a normal person in their web browser. So you install these extensions from your respective browsers, extension repositories, and then you get these handy little dialogues that let you turn the extension on and off, make it active or inactive, and then control what header gets sent through. And one of the really neat things for both of these related to this Cabana talk is that if you enable the verbose logging, actually even if you don't enable the verbose logging, just when you have it on, but the verbose logging gives you more interesting things. Both of them provide you with a way to drill into an Xdebug dashboard that picks up the request ID from your browser. Your browser got back from the server in its response, and go to just view all the log messages that came in from your request. So this can be super handy when you're trying to track down something, some weird bug in production that you can reproduce on the testing servers. Then you can use this to capture a full trace and then get a nice dashboard to search around for it.
Ryan, quick question from IRC again. Have you established a way to correlate code releases or other events using annotation marks in the Cabana UI?
You know, we had one in Kibana4. We had a way to do it. So we have a log event channel that records all the things that SCAP, which is our deploy tool, does. And in Kibana4, you were able to overlay that on the histograms and show like nice vertical lines that when SCAP was changing files on the cluster. In Kibana4, or at least the particular version of Kibana4 that we have, that ability went away, that they don't have a way to combine multiple data sources on the histogram like that. And I haven't looked yet, so as is the way with open source software, things move pretty quickly, and we've been on Kibana4 for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months now, but Kibana5 is out now, and I haven't gone to look and see if it brings back a nice way to make annotations visible or not. But that would be a nice feature to get back. It's one of the things that I miss from what we had for Kibana3. There you go. Like, I rambled enough to get Joel to say that was good. I think we are at the credits slide. I sped read through it in 35 minutes. All right. So yeah, Elasticsearch, Kibana, Logstash, and all their logos are registered trademarks in various countries. I just used them here for the purposes of identification. And
you know, you're showing your first page of your slideshow and not in full screen mode.
Awesome. I picked the wrong one. So much screen share fail. Let me find it. That one says desktop 2. How about that one? That's probably the slide I wanted people to be seeing.
Perfect.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, so CC by SA 4.0 on the slides, and we'll get the slides and the video up on Commons as soon as we can. Probably. If we got any more questions from IRC? Let's take that as a no, I guess. The YouTube delag is always hard to deal with, though, when you get to this part.
Okay, I think we don't have any further questions, so thank you so much, Brian. That was excellent. We'll see you all later.